everyone. Good morning. Welcome back to the AM show on this Thursday. We are having a ball. We are having a blast.
Yep.
We're doing all the things today. And the fun is only going to continue right now as we are about to sit down and be joined by an incredible guest who's joining us virtually, who is both a writer of novels as well as films and whose life has been shaped by hardship as well as resilience. Now, his first novel, Christmas Tears, draws from his personal journey, while his latest, Promise Kept, mixes suspense with the supernatural. So please welcome to the show, Noel Torres. Woo! Hello.
Hi, ladies. Hi, Janine.
Good morning.
How you doing?
How you doing?
I'm okay. Stay alive, main thing.
Yeah, right? Isn't that a blessing, especially this time of year? Blessing is just to have good health, right?
Yeah, well, the thing is that my health is not that good. That's what I'm saying. So there's a lot of things going on in life that are just not that good. You know, from cancer, armadillos, amyloidosis. Those are like big sicknesses, but I'm able to beat it so far and continue doing what I'm doing, which I love, is doing films. And
Oh, well, we are so glad that you are still alive and you're still still able to fulfill your passion. Really, kudos to you. How strong are you to continue even with such diagnosis? Thank you so much for carving out time to chat with us.
But I love your show, girls.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much.
Well, you know, you talking about your health struggles and your journey, you have such an interesting backstory as well, just to where you've gotten to. And I think a lot of the inspiration for some of these books that you have written, I mean, you have written a lot, and we're going to get into all of that. But talking about your health and resilience, just kind of take us back to the beginning. Where did that strength and that ability to push through hardships, where did that all come from for you?
Well, I'm from East New York in Bronxville. That's where I was born. So I actually was born in the hood. And I'm one of the only few guys that have made it. Of course, back in the day, I had my clubs and I had all kinds of stuff. And I've seen a lot and I've gone through a lot. And it started putting in my mind what I went through, and I've changed a lot. And I sort of put it down in writing. That's why Christmas Tears is one of the films that I did, because actually it was a book that I wrote first. It's just that I went through one of the happiest times in my life was during Christmas, and I remember the good times, but I also remember the bad times. And I actually put it in the film. Noel, that's so true. You do talk about your struggles growing up and being raised by a single mother and not being a religious guy, but definitely like attributing a lot of your faith and a lot of your tenacity to overcome to God. I'm curious, with all that being said, was writing sort of your mechanism for escape when you were growing up, right, by a single mother in a marginalized community, shall I say? Now, let me just fix that part there. I wasn't brought up by a single mother, although I did leave my house when I was 16. I was by myself. I sort of ran away and actually went to Puerto Rico. I just couldn't live with my parents anymore. But as I grew up more and more, I started realizing parents and family is everything, you know? And that's what started me from writing through all the hardships that I went through. And you'll see it in the film. What you can see, it's actually spoke to a lot of people that have seen that film.
Yeah, well, actually, we do have a little bit of a clip from Christmas Tears, which you're speaking of. So why don't we check that out, and then we can break down what we're watching a little bit more.
Okay.
So we'll play that trailer if we have that. Yep.
We gotta go home and face the music.
Where'd you get that from?
Hey, yo, Trouble, man. Is that loaded? Let's do it.
looks like a
Very
lot
touching.
was. Yeah. It looks like a lot was going on there. So what I got from that, it's like triumph and trial to almost like victory. Is that the synopsis of it? Break that.
Exact-
I thought so. Break that down a little bit more for us.
Yeah, the film started off like what people go through. Some people are
Right.
not working. Some people have lost loved ones, and the other one was missing her husband from who was in Iraq, and they don't know anything about him. By the way, that actress was my wife, Hilda Garay.
So fun.
I also have the singer there, Anita Nye, who's very famous. She sang with her hand and stuff like that. And Santa Claus, if you see Santa Claus, it's working like with Santa Claus because his name is Santa Claus and his driver's license and everything with him is Santa Claus. He's famous. I think you guys probably know him. He's from Long Island.
Oh, okay.
But the film is, like I said, it's a very touching film. It's helped a lot of people. I've heard some really good reviews on it.
Yeah.
And of course, you got people that are haters that are, well, you're in this business, you probably know about those things.
Yeah.
That would always say something bad, but that's because of personal stuff or
Yeah.
jealousy.
No, well, of course, anytime you put out something that's creative, people are going to have something to say about that. But I think it's those people aren't the ones who are putting their hearts out there and their passion out there. So who are they to judge in that sense? I think that the fact that you went from writing, well, at first, you actually started in sales, right? Let's start right back there. Before you started writing, you were in sales. Can you tell us about that?
Well, I was in sales a long time. I was in the car business. But I also did a lot of acting, a lot of extra work, and I used to love to see the way they were filming, so I wanted to be behind the camera. If you see Christmas Tears, I'm not in it. A lot of people make films so they could be in it, so they could star. I had nothing to do with it. I didn't direct it, I produced it, I did everything else. The film's completely mine. But it was, the sales part, I learned a lot from the sales part, but I was also a business owner. I had a lot of video stores, and I had a club, and I had a food truck on Coney Island Avenue, and I've been through a lot.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
And a lot of stuff that I can't say.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
It's so
And
true.
I also, and you probably read that I even had my son was murdered once by a police officer.
Oh.
That's a different story. That's a different day for a different day.
Yeah, no, I definitely, I read up on that about you, and I can imagine that when you talk about some of the inspiration that comes into some of your books and your writing, you talk about those hardships. That's definitely up there, I'm sure. If you would like to chat more about that, we can, or if that experience inspired any one of your other novels, did it at all?
Well, it actually changed my life because at that time I was in the streets. You're from the hood. You hang out with the wrong people, and although I was more of a leader, not a follower, but when that happened to my son, I changed my life around. I actually gave away my club and stopped doing all the drinking and all the other stuff I used to do, which I stopped completely. And it just changed my life around, and that's when I started writing. Like Promise Cap, it touches me a lot also because Promise Cap is about my friend who died in my house here. I had to give him mouth to mouth, but he still died. So I wrote a story about him. He was my best friend. So I've been through a lot of trials and tribulations. And but I'm very religious. I believe in God, very spiritual. And that in the film, by the way, won the family Christian Film Festival in 2019, Christmas Day. That's why they gave me a contract it's everywhere on TV. It's on Tubi TV, it's on Amazon Prime, it's everywhere.
Wow.
And as for the horror films that you see there that you're showing, those are things that actually did happen to me when I was growing up. So I've been through quite a lot. I mean, just talking about the horror alone would take forever.
Yeah, it's so true. I think that because of your tragedy, it's enabled you to be this fascinating storyteller because you have something to say. You have something to say. You have experiences to pull from. Now, I love that title, Promise Cap. What was the inspo behind that?
Well, like I said, my friend died, and I always thought about what would happen if me and him, because he was a pilot, if we had crashed someplace in the mountains in Canada and what we went through. And him carrying me, because he made a promise that he was going to bring me back home to my wife. And no matter what, he did bring me back to my wife, in this book. But you will notice that it was actually me carrying his corpse all the way. But it was just, I say he was never alive. It's just, it's just touching subjects, So that book has to do with him.
Yeah.
That's the last actually book that I wrote. Actually, I just wrote a poetry book that I just put out. So.
Oh, well, tell us about that. You wrote a
I
poem.
started with
What's
poems
that?
years ago. That's in a different company, though. It's not on Amazon.
Oh, gotcha. It's not on Amazon. But do you love poetry? Is this
I
a
love
new
poetry,
medium that
yeah.
you got into? Okay.
That was great in poetry. People would always tell me to write poems for somebody or for themselves. So that's when I started, I guess, in school. Even in school, I had great marks, although I probably let the school also in cutting, but my marks were really, really good. And,
Yeah.
so I guess it's something that I've been blessed with, because God has been watching me all these years. I have no idea how I'm here.
Yeah, well, you do. Your story is one of resilience, and I love that you're just like exploring new ways to express yourself and to be able to get some of that maybe grief, that tragedy, whatever it may be, kind of out of you. And I want to learn more about your writing process, but we're going to learn more about that right after we take just a quick commercial break. So Noel, don't go anywhere. We're going to be right back, because I want to hear more about how you actually write these books after you get inspired. Don't go anywhere, everyone. We'll be right back.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Yes, welcome back to the AM show. Of course, up on your screens here, you can see our special guest, Mr. Noel Torres. He's back with us. He is a writer. He writes novels, and he's a director, producer extraordinaire, really just writing short films and films at large. And we are back with Noel. Noel, welcome back to the show.
I'm glad to be back.
Yes. So, Noel, right before the commercial break, we were speaking about getting into that writing process. So if you can just detail a little bit about what your creative process looks like. How do you get really to the finish line in producing a finished body of work?
Well, all of them started with books, and then I tried to make them films, because Conjures is also one that I was filmed. It all starts with my life. Like I said, Christmas Tears started when I was young, and I remember that. And I remember people going through problems. At one time, I was even unemployed. And I remember the problems that causes. And that's actually in the film. And as time goes on, you see that things get better and better, because I don't like to end stuff that. But like I said, Christmas Tears was about my parents and me growing up. My other films, the horror ones, is because of what I went through. So I actually wrote what I went through, especially with Petrifying Stories. Those are real stories. You'll read them, you'll find them hard to believe, but they're real.
Yeah.
As for Conjures, I did Conjures because I did not want to film Petrifying Stories because it was too scary. And I think that stuff like that follows you around. And I went through that before, and I don't want to go through that again. And we're talking about spirits and stuff like that. Conjures is more about monsters. Werewolves and killers, also, like even Jack the Ripper and stuff like that, and dinosaurs. Everybody dies in a different way. But it wasn't just one ghost, that's it. But the other films are spiritual, and I didn't want to do that. That's too scary for me. I wouldn't do it. And then, like I said, Betrayal, Promise Kept is about, like I said, about my buddy. He was a pilot. But I had another one that's called Soldier's Betrayal. And that has to do a little with my son. He's been in the Army right now. He's actually going through some really hard times. He actually had to have a brain operation.
Wow.
You know how dangerous that is. And that was in Georgia, so he came from there. Still in the Army. And what he went through in the Army and being married, and the way the woman could treat you when you're away. But I don't want to say much about that because I'm working on, the film is there. I'm going to put it out soon, next year. But it's about a soldier that comes back and finds out that the one that's actually helping him here, it's going to be strange. It's going to be a guy that was a terrorist over there.
Huh.
Wow, that's
It's strange. Yeah, you'd be like, what? How could that happen?
Wow.
that's interesting.
Yeah.
But it's a little strange. I try to write things that are different than anybody else. You know, like Santa Claus getting robbed. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I was going to ask that too because, you know, some of these themes, I mean, their books have been written for hundreds and hundreds of years, but how do you put your own special twist to it? And is that something, it seems like that's something that you consciously think about while you're writing of how, okay, I'll tell a story about a soldier coming home, but in my own flair. And do you always try to give your own little spin on every novel you write?
With truth in it. Always in it, but there's always truth in it. Everything there has some sort of truth. You have to figure out what part is true. You know?
Yeah.
But it's I'll put it this way, a lot of it is true. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, it's so true. I love how you're like taking these real life experiences and using them sort of like as agents of change to change people's perspectives and to provide insight in regards to their life. I'm curious, Noel, when you are writing, who are you hoping to speak to?
I'm actually speaking to the people. I want to touch people. When I first wrote Christmas Tears, I didn't think about money or anything like that. I didn't care about that. I wanted the film to touch people, and it did. And I got so many things, especially there's a part there with the angels and stuff you'll see, and the homeless, you know. And I'm very upset about the homeless. I wish something could have been done about that. So you'll see that in Christmas Tears. And it'll show that not every homeless is a drug addict or they're just homeless. You know, they just for no reason. I don't know if when you girls check out the film, you'll see what I was trying to reach, what I'm trying to touch. So I just wanted to touch the people. The people mean more to me than actually anything.
Yeah.
Because the last book was about my friend that he died, so it was mainly for him that I wrote that.
Yeah, I feel like your film, I love that. I feel like your film speaks to a lot of folks who are struggling, whether you're homeless or you've been through grief or you've been addicted to some kind of drug or you've grown up in a really, really rough community and neighborhood. I like that all of the films and all of the novels, they have this connectivity factor, and I think that's hope. I think it's hope and it's insight, really just telling folks that it doesn't matter what you've been through or where you come or where you come from. I know what you mean. Yeah, I love that you can make it, and I like that all of your films have that recurring theme.
Yeah, you could beat it. I'm telling you, you could beat anything. You may not believe this, but about a year and a half ago, I was put in hospice. Okay?
Wow.
So, and I was able to beat that.
See?
You know, because I see my wife crying, and then I said, well, I can't give up.
Yeah.
You know, so I fought, and they gave me like another 5 years and whatever, 10 years, you know, and I said, oh, that's good, you know, but I did beat it. And like I said, faith is the biggest thing. To me, Jehovah God is the biggest thing. You know, and that's what keeps me going, which was the opposite of when I was younger. I was not a really nice person. I mean, I was nice, but I'm in the streets. You know, people know what it is to be in the streets, you know, running wild and going crazy. Like I said, I had clubs, so you can imagine. You know, I had video stores, 501 time. I used to be in McCrory's. I don't know if you guys remember McCrory's. It's like Woolworth. You know, so I've been through quite a lot in my life that a lot of people don't know about. And when I got sick, nobody on Facebook knew it. Nobody knows it. Now they know it because I'm telling you.
Yeah. That bounce back ability. I admire that.
I can't believe you were in hospice and you're able to beat that. I think that, once again, that just shows your resilience and your strength and your desire to continue to just push forward in life. Like, no, my story's not done. I still have a lot more to say. And that's what it's kind of sounding like. And in terms of these stories, I just want to hear that process. So you write your book, you're putting all your thoughts down, you're telling the story. How do you know, okay, the book's done? I can literally close the chapter, I can end this here, and I can put it out into the world. What's that moment for you?
Well, I have an idea how I'm going to finish the book to begin with. Like with Christmas Tears, I already knew what was going to happen at the end. I don't want to say nothing because I don't want to spoil it. But I already knew what was going to happen, and the same thing with the other ones. As for the horror films, they're just different stories, so they finish by themselves. I had like no really endings, just the way they really ended. You know, just to tell you one of the stories, going through the mountains in Puerto Rico, they say these two girls were killed there once, and their ghost just appears. And I always laughed and joked and say, yeah, sure. So it really happened to us one day. Okay, so that's in the book. I don't want to spoil it also, but that's something that you're going to say, yeah, sure. It did. It did. It's one of the scariest parts of my life.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I've been shot at and everything, so that was scary.
Wow.
Yeah, absolutely. You mentioned Puerto Rico. I'm curious, how has your culture and your background really influenced the way you write? Or has it at all?
Actually, I was born here, but I lived there for a while, and then I came back. Like I said, when I was like 16, I ran away from home. I went to Puerto Rico. I lived by myself. And I actually did pretty well. And then I came back and to New York, and I've been here ever since, although I used to visit back there all the time. But the island touches me so much that I write about it, and I write good things. But let me tell you, the first time I went to Puerto Rico, I got there at night. I thought it was one of the ugliest places I've ever seen because everything's dark. I'm from New York, all lit up, you know? And as we were driving through the mountains and the sun came up, I was going, oh my God, what a paradise. This is beautiful.
Oh, yeah. Well, when you're coming from the concrete jungle, right? Yeah, you're right. All the lights are always lit. And then you go and you see in nature. Yeah. Wow, what an experience.
It was, you know, so it's two different worlds. Like being in New York, being from Brooklyn. I'm from Brooklyn. And then going to Puerto Rico, then coming back. But then I was started to live everywhere.
Yeah.
You know, and I lived in Massachusetts, you know, a little bit, and came back. But New York is my life. Now I'm in Long Island, close to that.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, so
you have lived a life.
You really have, and like we said, you've done a lot of stuff before you even decided to start writing. And so I just want to know, if for anybody who out there who is watching this program right now, and maybe they're like, you know what, I have a story, I kind of want to get into writing, I don't know where to begin. How do I start this journey to tell my story? What advice do you have to those folks, those aspiring writers, that you can give to them?
Oh, it's really not that hard. If you really have a good story, just write it down in a computer, especially if you have a computer. You know, there are places there you could put an app where you could actually write stories. And then you could either put it, when you finish, put it on Amazon Prime or look for a publisher. Because, you know, right now I'm working like with a publisher on the poetry book. But when I first started, I started on Amazon. But when you're on Amazon, you can do pretty well if the book does well. I know that my film is doing really well. That's for sure. Christmas Tears, they're fantastic.
Yeah.
I hope the other ones do as well when they're out. You know, they're coming out.
Yeah, that must be so exciting to be able to bring the words on the pages to life, or to be able to reach the different demographics in different ways. It's all storytelling. I'm excited to see what you're going to do. In the future. Yeah,
with the poetry book, we want to see it. When do you think it's going to be released, the poetry book?
The poetry book actually is out now. It's I think I sent it. I had sent it to a girl out there, Jackie. You know who she is.
Shout out to Jackie.
Forever. And speaking about Jackie, if you see my shirt, it's music. I'm actually involved in music big time too. So you know, I know like a lot of players in Latin and English, and because of Jackie, the doo-wops and stuff, I know all that stuff. And I'm actually now doing some sort of music.
Oh, cool.
That's beautiful.
That's something else. It's just something to keep me busy. I need to be busy because I'm home, and it's not easy if you don't do nothing.
Well, you're not just busy; you're productive.
Yeah,
you're productive because busy is just busy work, right? That doesn't mean forward progress, but you are productive, and that's telling a story as well through melodies and songs and lyrics. You have a lot going on, Mr. Noel.
Yeah.
And if I actually wrote what about my life, I can't write about my life. It'll be very, very touching people. Big questions from everybody, you know, and I can't do that. But my life has really been even more that you've seen there. A lot of stuff.
A lot of stuff. Well, like Judea said, you're doing a lot. You have a story to tell. Guys, if you guys want to go and check out, which you should, any of Noel's amazing books, you guys can head on over to Amazon in order to do that. We've been playing kind of a carousel of the cover. There they are, the covers of some of his novels. You guys can also check out Christmas Tears as well. Noel, thank you so much for taking the time out of your very, very busy schedule to chat with us. Tell us about what you have going on, and we so appreciate it, and I just want to say, just so respect your resilience and your strength, and I'm so happy to hear that health-wise you've been pushing through, and we'll pray for you as well, that you're still able to keep battling and fighting.
Yeah, such a pleasure.
Thank you so much, girls. Just keep doing what you're doing. You're doing a great job. I love yourself to be watching it, and I will be sending this out to everybody, you know, that I know.
Yeah.
Thank
All right.
you.
Amazing.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Noel. Have a happy Christmas. And we'll be in touch soon. Thanks for being here. Happy holidays.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye now. Oh, he has a lot to say.
What
I
a
love
story.
It. I know.
What a story.
What a life.
Yeah, what a life.
What a life.
Story. And Christmas Tears, guys. Christmas is just a few weeks away, so definitely make sure you guys either read the book, watch the movie, or do both. All right, we're going to take a quick commercial break, and we have more of the show on this Thursday when we return. Don't go anywhere.
Yeah.